I'm Lukunka Mlenga, and if you're watching this video, I would like to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and listening to me. I would like to address and talk about a certain subject that most people find to be very uncomfortable. Growing up, the subject of depression has always been hidden behind the curtains. So many people are very, very ashamed to open up. And in my country, Zambia, I don't know about the rest of Africa and the rest of the world, but it's always a saying that people make that Africans never get depressed. I find that quite confusing because if you look at the stories that we always used to hear of people committing suicide, it just never crossed my mind. And I understand, I was young. But growing up, reality just begins to hit you. You begin to wonder what people go through. And I know everybody's situation is different. Going back on track, for the last 2 weeks, I had the most hardest, I would say, 2 weeks of my entire life. The feeling that I was experiencing, I've never felt before. And now let me just tell you a little bit about myself. The way that I was raised by my mother, who is still here, she raised me to be a very, very independent and strong person. I always know how to stand up on my 2 feet. I never know to back down. I'm the type that whatever I need, I'm going to get it. We're going to get this done. That's my type. That's me right here. I never quit. I never give up. And that's on everything that I've ever done. That's how my wife knows me. I'm self-motivated. Yes, I need people around me. But for the most part, I'm the type that even if you don't support me, it's not going to crush my dreams. I'm not going to feel a type of way. I'm still going to get up and I'm going to prove myself that I can do it. Not because I want to prove people around me, but because I want to prove myself that I know this is possible. And I've always been that way. Well, for the past 2 weeks, it was just a different type of feeling that I was, going through. And thankfulness, I haven't done any research on depression at all, ever in my life. I just never thought that I needed that, honestly. So, whatever that I'm speaking right now about is literally me giving you the raw experience. I've never done any research. I tried to, and then I had to stop myself. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go off of what other people have written yet. I just want to give you guys my personal experience. And I know that somebody out there might be watching, and this might help somebody else to conquer this, this thing. I don't even know exactly how to express it or what to call it. But I know that for the past 2 weeks, I was almost or near depressed. So I don't know what that stage is. I'm trying to assume that there is different levels of depression. Like I don't know what stage that I was in, but it was a very bad state that I've ever experienced in my life. So this is what was going on. Now I must say, for so many reasons, people get depressed. People might be going through a tough relationship. People might be going through financial situations. People might be having, trouble at home with family. just all type of things, all sorts of things that people get depressed over. And in my situation, none of that applied. Like none of it. It wasn't a financial situation. It wasn't nothing to do with my marriage. It wasn't nothing to do with anything at home. It wasn't nothing to do with my family. It wasn't nothing to do with friends. Like literally nothing at all. Zero. But for the past 2 weeks, I lost a lot of motivation to just get up and do anything. Just to get up and do anything. Most of my mornings when I wake up, I just felt so tired. And I just wanted to sleep. Like I just wanted to sleep in. I just didn't want to get up and do anything. Now I have a business, mind you. I have employees. I have people who depend on me every single day to make it happen. We got clients that are counting on me. You know what I mean? Like I do subcontracts and I have, companies that are relying on me to make sure that things are done. But certain things just begin to hit you and you don't even know where this wave is coming from. Like, you just don't know. And depending on how you take that approach, some of these tides might be higher than you think. So I lost motivation to get up and do anything at my own business. Now my intention is to grow my business and, I lost motivation to do anything like that. Now, just mind you, when something like that happens, it begins to hurt a lot of things. Everything around you just begins to crumble and fall apart. And I'm so glad that it didn't affect anything at my home, my relationship, or nothing like that. It was just something that I had to do or deal with personally with myself. Like, I just felt hopeless. So I'm kind of just giving you guys pointers on the things that I felt. So I lost motivation. That's number one. Number two, I felt very hopeless. Number three, I felt very helpless. And number four, I just felt alone. Now that doesn't mean that I didn't have people surrounding me or nothing like that. But all these things are just things that were crushing me down. Like, these things were literally crushing me down. So one day, riding in my truck, I'm going to, I came from supervising a job, and, I'm driving. I think I might have played some Travis Green, and I started listening to, what's her name? She's got very soothing music. The word that I can use to describe her music is tranquil. Honestly, to me, it was like medicine. Literally, it was like medicine. So I'm driving, I'm just in this deep meditative thinking, and I don't know, my eyes are just there, I'm just there looking I don't know, just dazed out. I'm just dazed in the day. It's just, everything's just going by. I'm just driving, in my mind, I'm just let's just get there, I mean, what do I have to lose? Let's just do it. That was my mood in that moment. So I played some Travis Green. I think I played the song Made Away. And then I started listening to Kehlani. And she kind of has that sound to me, which was which is very unique. She has a soft voice. And there's a lot of things that sound has an impact over your life. Depending on whatever sound that you're listening to, just there is beautiful noise and there is just noise which brings a lot of distraction. And so I was listening to, I can't remember what song was playing, but I was listening to Kalani, and that music just kind of started, carrying me through that calm vibe, and I just began to settle my spirit. And I started thinking, I'm like, so for the past 2 weeks, this is what I've been going through. I just don't feel like I can talk to anybody about this. I didn't feel like I could talk to my wife about this situation. And I didn't even realize, honestly, until that day that I'm sinking, like really sinking, like deep in, like I'm wasting away. I didn't realize until that very moment. And guys, let me tell you, I began to question myself. I started checking things off. Is this something to do with my marriage? No. Is this something to do with our finances? No. Is this something to do with my friendships? No. Is this something to do with my family? No. Is this something to do with my employees? No. I'm like, so what is it? And literally nothing. Zero. Nothing. That made me understand, and it opened my eyes. First off, I've never looked down on anybody who's had depression and really have been going through it. But that right there in that moment was an eye opener. I was really shocked on just how much life, it can be tricky sometimes. Sometimes you just never know what hits you. But the most important thing is how you deal with. Now, earlier on, I told you that I was raised by a strong woman. My mother is one of the strongest people that I've ever known my whole life. So that's always been a blessing to me because she's helped me to develop a very strong mind. Very strong. And things started going through me like, maybe I need to speak to somebody. Maybe I need to talk to somebody. I started making plans of, maybe I need to go to therapy. Maybe I need to do this and that. And all that was great. Yeah, like it was making a lot of sense. But because over these years I've been able to build a strong mental capacity, I also had a suggestion right in that moment. That what if I just begin to speak to myself? So Kelani is playing in the background. I'm like, what if I just begin to speak to myself? The music is soft. Everything is nice. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. So I started speaking to myself. I said, I refuse to be depressed. I refuse to be depressed. I'm not depressed. I'm more than this. I'm more than a conqueror. I'm more than this. I'm a go-getter. I'm an achiever. I have a strong mind. I know who I am. And everything started feeling good. Like I started feeling all these chills and my mood, like my face started lighting up and I'm just by myself. Then there was one problem. There was another thought in the back of my mind. I guess, let me take that back. It wasn't a problem. There was another suggestion. Because I was kind of like speaking in a low tone and something just hit me. It was like, what? Are you afraid? Like, what are you afraid of? Why can you not just say it a little bit louder? And so I began to speak even the more louder. I said, I refuse to be depressed. I refuse to give up. I refuse to be sad. I am joyful. I'm happy. I'm this and that. And everything made perfect sense. You guys, like everything made perfect sense. I started reminding myself of who I am. Like I literally started reminding myself of who I am and who I've always been. Like, I'm strong. Like, this is me. Like, I'm more than a conqueror. Like, I'm this person. And literally 5 minutes later, that was like self therapy, I guess that's what I might call it. I was back. Guys, like, I was back. Mind you, I've been going through this like for like 16 days, and I was back. It took me like, I guess maybe the entire process was like maybe 20 minutes, I guess, with identifying what the problem was and then trying to come up with solutions, and then finally, like, I had these suggestions, but it only took 5 minutes of like me speaking to myself when everything started coming back to me, and I just felt myself. Like, it was a huge sense of relief that I had. And like, it was like, I was happy because it was just like a weight was lifted off of me. Like, everything was just gone. Like, it was just gone. And I was so happy. I couldn't wait to come home and just share it with my wife, like, share the story, just tell her what I was going through, and that's what I did that night. Like, we sat down, setting up our studio space in the garage, and I just began to explaining to her what I was experiencing. And that's another thing, just being able to share with people, especially your loved ones. So sometimes you might be harboring a lot of things inside of you. I wouldn't really encourage you to do that, honestly. Always, always find an outlet. Speak to somebody when you're going through something. Maybe I should have spoken to my wife a little bit sooner, and not maybe, actually, I should have spoken to my wife way sooner than waiting 2 weeks when I already, was over the situation. I'm glad that, I was back and everything just made perfect sense, but what if I wasn't? Like, what if I wasn't? What if I didn't have a strong mind? Not everybody's blessed with that. Not everybody can just, snap out of something like that. Not everybody has that mental capacity to just pull themselves out of a situation. We're all different, and that's why we need each other. So even as you watch this video, just remind yourself that somebody out there is going through something, and somebody out there needs you. Literally, you might be the answer to somebody's struggle. People go through a lot of things, and I understand when people do something, it's not out of no reason at all. So we have to start moving with compassion, and maybe try to be a little bit more understanding. Life is precious if we just let it be. So today I'm just asking you guys, even as you watch this video, like, try to be a little bit more compassionate, more understanding, but more than important, or most importantly, somebody out there needs you. Somebody out there really needs you. Thank you for watching, guys. Remember to always talk to somebody when you're experiencing certain things that you cannot explain in your life. And I hope this video can be of some help to some extent. You're never alone. Thanks for watching, guys.